yea verily, even to Wally World.
Huzzah, indeed. Even at the Wally World, I can sum up the station wagon's tale with one blunt word: kaput. That might sound a tad brutal, but when was the last time you spotted a shiny new American station wagon gleaming on a dealer's lot? Chances are it was either a lackluster moment or it happened way back, probably 2 decades ago or more. The Chevrolet Caprice and Buick Roadmaster, the last of the full-sized American wagons, rolled off the line in 1996. You folks always keep me sharp on these details, and lately I've been flooded with requests to dive into the station wagon story. I'm totally on board. This is a saga worth sharing. This vehicle hauled suburban families not just to soccer fields, carpools, or school plays. It's one of the most iconic vehicle types in American history. Want proof? In 1976, station wagon sales hit 972,212, making up 10% of all vehicles sold in the US. That year, with a whopping 62 different models available to buyers. Mind blown yet? For context, that's about as many SUV models as we have today. And we all know how wild people are for those. Picture this, your last family road trip in a station wagon. For most of you, I bet it involved wood paneling, an AM/FM radio blaring, and squabbles with your siblings over who got to claim the way back. That rear-facing third row where you could stick out your tongue at the cars trailing behind. If you're anything like me, you didn't see the trouble brewing. Back then, station wagons felt as eternal as baseball or apple pie. But what went wrong? How did we plummet from 62 models to 0 American-made wagons in just 20 years? Well, that's exactly what we're here to unravel today. The station wagon's journey kicks off in a very different America, the early 1900s, when trains were still the main mode of travel. The name itself comes from their original gig, wagons, that served train stations. Early on, they were called depot hacks because they hung around train depots, acting as taxis. Let's set the scene. It's 1910, you've just hopped off a train with a pile of luggage, and there's no Uber or modern cab in sight. What you needed was something to haul you and your gear from the station to your destination. Enter the depot hack, a modified truck with benches for passengers and room for bags. The big leap came in 1910 when Henry Ford naturally shook things up. For $700, 0 cents, Ford sold bare Model T chassis to small manufacturers who'd slap on custom wooden wagon bodies. Ford wasn't building the wagons themselves, just supplying the mechanical guts. Back then, there were 551 American car manufacturers in 1909. Can you imagine? Today, we're down to, 3 big players? Things got juicy between 1923 and 1929 when the depot hack evolved into the station wagon. Nobody's pinned down the exact moment, but by 1929, when Ford rolled out the Model A station wagon, the name was cemented. The real game changer hit in 1935 when Chevrolet took a bold step. They built an all-steel station wagon. No more wood, or at least less of it. Thing is, people didn't immediately jump on board. They loved the wood. It gave wagons a fancy, high-class vibe. In the 1930s and early 40s, woody station wagons cost more than standard cars, screaming prestige. Ford wasn't about to let Chevy steal the show. In 1936, they opened a wagon plant in Iron Mountain, Michigan, using timber from their own forest near Lake Superior. They were shipping entire wooden wagon bodies across North America, but here's the catch. Woody wagons were a nightmare to maintain. You had to varnish the wood, constantly check for rot, tighten joints. It was like owning a car that doubled as a woodworking project. No thanks. The tide turned after World War II. In 1946, Willys, the Jeep folks, dropped a bombshell, the first family-sized, all-steel production wagon. It still had that fake woody look painted on the sides because wood equaled quality in people's minds. But it was all steel underneath. By 1949, Plymouth Suburban, another all-steel beauty, made it clear that real wood was on its way out. Sure, some companies clung to wood trim into the mid-1950s, but after that it was all vinyl graphics pretending to be wood, a perfect snapshot of America's shifting tastes. Now let's dive into the golden age of the station wagon. To get why they were such a hit, you need to picture post-World War II America. Suburbs sprouting, the interstate highway system expanding, and the baby boom in full swing. Families were growing, trips were getting longer, and Americans needed a car that could keep up with their new lifestyle. 19900 and 50S were when wagons exploded, going from under 3% of U.S. car production in 1950 to nearly 17% by decade's end. In 1958, Plymouth's top-selling body style wasn't a sedan or coupe, it was the station wagon. These things were massive, like rolling living rooms. Take the 1968 Ford Country Squire, over 218 inches long, that's more than 18 feet. Modern Chevy Tahoe, only about 210 inches. Your grandpa's wagon was bigger than your SUV. But it wasn't just size. Station wagons were a symbol of the American dream. Big families, suburban homes, hobbies, vacations, and a touch of prestige. The variety was staggering. 2-door wagons, 4-door wagons, pillarless hardtops, 2-row or 3-row setups, rear-facing or side-facing seats. Tailgates were a marvel. Some swung out, some dropped down, and GM's clamshell design vanished entirely when opened. The 60S brought even more flair. The Vista Cruiser with its raised roof and skylights. Panoramic roofs aren't new, folks. You had compact wagons like the Ford Falcon, mid-size options, and full-size giants that could seat 9. Cozy, if you didn't mind elbowing your siblings. Culturally, station wagons were the family car in the 60S and early 70S. They were mobile command centers for soccer runs, grocery hauls, camping trips, or cross-country treks to grandma's. The marketing was genius. Ford's Country Squire made you feel like royalty. Chrysler's Town & Country promised urban polish and rural escapes. Fake wood trim, all vinyl by then, screamed, "I've arrived," louder than any chrome badge. In performance, some wagons packed big block V8s with over 400 cubic inches, guzzling gas at 8 miles per gallon. But who cared? Gas was cheap and America was king. Now let's talk numbers, and don't zone out, this gets juicy. Through the early 70s, station wagons were a cash cow. Strong sales, solid profits, Detroit pumping them out like crazy. But trouble was brewing. Wagons were pricey to build. Longer frames, bigger roofs, more glass, beefier suspensions. You couldn't charge much more for them than sedans, which were simpler and had better profit margins. As long as sales stayed high, it was fine. Then, October 1973 hit like a sledgehammer. The Arab oil embargo sent oil prices soaring from $3.00 to nearly $12.00 a barrel, a 300% jump. Gas stations had lines stretching for hours with limits of 10 gallons or less. Some used odd-even rationing based on license plates. It was pandemonium. Station wagons with their 1012 MPG were hit hard. That land yacht in your driveway went from American dream to financial anchor overnight. Sales tanked after peaking at nearly 1 million in 1970, cratering by 1974-75. Chrysler bailed first, axing their full-size wagons in 1978. Emission standards from 1972 didn't help, forcing costly engine redesigns that made big V8s less efficient. By the late 70s, wagons were on life support. But the real assassin was lurking: Chrysler's 1984 minivan. The Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager were game changers. More space than wagons, sliding doors, better visibility, built on car platforms for smoother driving. Plus, they were cheaper. Then there was image. By the 80s, wagons were uncool, tied to the boring conformity of the 50S and 60S. Baby boomers wanted something fresh, not their parents' Country Squire. Minivans were different enough to feel new. But the knockout blow came from Japan. The SUV revolution. The 1984 Jeep Cherokee, with its 4 doors and lifestyle marketing, wasn't just a truck, it was adventure. The Toyota 4Runner 1984, Nissan Pathfinder 1986, and Ford Explorer 1990 piled on, eating the wagon's lunch. By 1991, the collapse was brutal, from 62 models in 1976 to just 26 by 2004 and only 8 by 2016. GM's Caprice and Roadmaster, the last holdouts, died in 1996. Many just rebadged clones of each other. What sealed the wagon's fate? A perfect storm. Cafe standards hit big wagons harder than SUVs, which had looser rules. SUVs had insane profit margins. An Explorer cost slightly more to build than a Taurus wagon, but sold for thousands more. And Americans bought into the idea that SUVs were safer and more capable, even if most never left pavement. Perception trumped practicality. Today, the station wagons on life support, kept alive by European brands like Audi, Volvo, BMW, and Mercedes, who call them Avant touring, or a state to avoid the stigma. In 2015, wagons made up just 1.1% of US auto sales, 188,959 units, less than Ford's F-150 sales in 2 months. Ironically, crossovers like the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 are basically tall wagons, and the Subaru Outback nailed it in 1994 by being a lifted legacy wagon marketed as not a wagon. Attempts at revival, like Cadillac's CTS Sport Wagon 201-02014 or Buick's Regal 2RX 201-820-2015 flopped. Americans wanted taller, thirstier enclaves instead. Could wagons stage a comeback? Honestly, probably not. America's built for SUVs now. Parking lots, drive-thrus, even our self-peeve, we want to sit high, feel commanding, and pretend we might ford a river to soccer practice. Only $10, 0 cents a gallon gas, or a cultural shift toward efficiency might change things. But we'd likely just shrink SUVs instead. Researching this made me nostalgic for an era I never lived through. Spotting a beat-up Taurus wagon or a stubborn Volvo 240 feels like glimpsing a rare animal. Wagons weren't about efficiency, awful handling couch-like, or looks. They were about family, fights in the way back, license plate bingo, freedom behind a thin pane of glass. We lost practicality when wagons died. Can your crossover fit a 4x8 plywood sheet? Sleep in it? Carry 9 people? Wagons did all that for less. We also lost character. Every wagon was unique, from sporty to luxurious to bare bones. Crossovers? They're just bloated sedans with plastic cladding. The wagon's death shows we buy what feels good, not what makes sense. SUVs could vanish too if the right factors align, maybe EVs or autonomous cars. CAF standards meant to save fuel pushed us to SUVs. Safety rules made cars heavier, less efficient. Every fix breeds new problems. So tell me, do you remember riding in a station wagon as a kid? What was it? A wood-paneled country Squire, a safe Volvo, a Vista Cruiser with skylights? What killed the wagon? Oil crisis, minivans, SUVs, or something else? Do you miss them, or are crossovers just better? If you owned a wagon, what was it like? Did you embrace the practicality or fight the boring stereotype? Why'd you ditch it? Would you buy a modern wagon, say a hybrid country Squire with fake wood? What's your favorite wagon ever? And do you think they'll ever return, or are we doomed to drive taller and taller vehicles? Share your thoughts. I'm all ears. Thanks for sticking with me.